So what is Zentangle? Well, I only heard about this about 6 months ago, I suppose. I've watched a few videos of people drawing it. It's a little bit similar, I suppose, to the Neurographic Art, except that it involves a lot more doodles. So I've had to look this up, and as I understand it, Zentangle is a series of patterns, dots, lines, orbs and curves. And you're supposed to start in a similar way to the Neurographic Art by drawing yourself a border and then drawing in some lines. There's rules that should be followed. It should be abstract. It should be unplanned. You should use white paper and black ink. It shouldn't have any specific orientation. You should be able to view it portrait, landscape, upside down, however you like. So I have watched several different videos, and some of them they use a ruler and some of them they use squiggled lines. So I'm going to use a combination of both today. I don't know if a straight line has a specific name or term, but from what I found out via the internet, a curved line or a squiggle is called a string. I suppose this might be a string, but this, the ruler moving, doesn't matter because it's got to be unplanned, and that was definitely unplanned. So I'm just using a black marker pen, so I think I'll draw 4 straight lines and a handful of wiggles, or strings as I'm supposed to call them. I'm not mocking Zentangle, I kind of don't really understand it, so that's part of the reason for me trying it today. Some people have said, oh, it's just doodling, and then other people say, no, doodling is when you kind of draw a face, or, you know, I don't know. The bottom line is, to me, that it's about putting something on paper. It's about doing something that's relaxing, that takes your mind off things. I've read that with the Zentangle, it's all about freeing your mind, which is a bit like the Neurographic Art in a way. And in a way, again, I think that drawing some squiggly lines is going to be a little bit neurographic. I think I'm going to do a couple of lines with the gel pen as well, just to mix it up a little bit with some thick and thin lines. I don't know if that's going to make a difference, but that was just a thought I had just now, and this is supposed to be unplanned, so let's just go with it. If you don't want to have all this talking over, I will probably put this very same video up as a full process video without any talking, but because this is an art challenge, there's going to be a bit of nattering going on. Right, so I've got my strings. What I need to do now is draw patterns within each of these little sections. This might take some time, so I might fast forward this bit. We shall see. Depends how much nattering I do whilst I'm doing it. So I don't know if you're supposed to use a ruler or go freehand with this, but for a couple of them I'm going to use a ruler. So I don't really know what sort of patterns to draw in these at all. Whether I should do the same pattern in different squares and what order I should do the blocks in. So I don't want to get stressed out by this because this is supposed to be relaxing. So I'm going to work my way along and I'm just going to see what happens. So I slipped into doing a little bit of the neurographic art in this section, mostly because I just wanted to compare it. With the neurographic art, kind of just know what I'm doing. I just put the squiggles in, I just fill in the edges, and then I do a little bit of doodling. It requires a lot less thought than this Zentangle, that's for sure. Well, that certainly wasn't as relaxing as the neurographic art doing that bit. Crikey. Yeah, not entirely sure how I'm feeling about this. I don't know what to do. I don't know what lines to draw. Genuinely. I definitely prefer filling in the corners on the neurographic style because you don't have to think. You don't have to think about what you're doing. When I'm doing the neurographic art, my mind either clears completely or just random things just drift into my head and then drift out. I don't stop and focus. It's almost like dreaming. Things just pop in your mind and sometimes they can make you smile and sometimes they can make you a little bit irritated. But the thoughts are just not held in your brain. For me, anyway. With this, I'm moving on to a section. I'm thinking, what am I going to do in here? What am I going to do in here? I'm almost having a little bit of a mental panic over what to put in there. Which sounds ridiculous. It sounds utterly ridiculous. But that is what's happening. But I'm going to persevere. I'm definitely going to persevere. Genuinely not enjoying this. However, I am aware that some of the lines and patterns I might use or bring into my neurographic art just to add a little bit of extra interest. This is way too busy, way too complicated for my little brain to kind of deal with right now, but I'm going to carry on. So we're done. That wasn't relaxing at all. And I'm not sure why. I've already said that. However, as I was coming to the end, I did start relaxing because I was almost at the end. So I can imagine that this is a really great way to play around and try and find some new patterns that I could possibly use in my neurographic art. Some of them are lines that I already use in my neurographic art, and some of them I've just completely made up on the spot. Yeah, I mean, I can't deny that that does look quite effective, and you can look at it any way up. So I probably will do a couple more of these just to have a play with patterns and shapes that I can bring into my neurographic art. There is potential in this to come up with some new patterns and new shapes, and, well, is there such a thing as a new shape? No. To implement new ideas into my other artwork. So what is Zentangle? Well, that was not Zen. That was not my idea of Zen. My idea of Zen is having a completely clear mind, and I get much more Zen from the neurographic art. Right, so it's been a couple of days since I did the Zentangle challenge. I mean, I hated it, didn't I? I really didn't enjoy doing that. And I didn't enjoy doing it because I didn't know what to draw. So after I'd finished it, I thought to myself, well, okay, let's use one of those Zentangle cheat sheets, and I tried again. So basically, all I did was I went onto Pinterest, I looked up a load of Zentangle patterns, and I found this one much easier to do. So I repeated some of the patterns that I'd already made in my first one, then I added some Zentangle patterns from a cheat sheet, I suppose you'd call it. I don't know if it is a cheat sheet or just an ideas sheet. If you go on Pinterest or even on Google, you would find a long list of different types of patterns. Some of the patterns I just didn't like, so I just didn't do them. So then I did another one, because once I had the patterns I just had to copy, suddenly this Zentangle art became an awful lot easier and more pleasant to do. Now I've got some ideas for the patterns, this is actually as relaxing as the neurographic art, and the effects are quite different, more involved. And what I'd like to do is combine some of this with the neurographic patterns that I've been making. So in conclusion, if you want to be stressed out like I did when I did this one, then don't use a cheat sheet and make the patterns up yourself. If you want to actually enjoy it and find it really relaxing, pop some music on, squiggle your lines, and just in each individual section start copying some of the suggested designs on these Zentangle cheat sheets. They've all got names apparently. I'm not going to go into all that today. For me, doing art is not about being always technically correct, but it's all about giving it a go and trying. So funnily enough, I didn't think I was going to recommend this after I'd finished this drawing. I thought it was just a big waste of time. It was too stressful. I was just finding it so difficult to come up with pattern ideas. So yeah, by the time I'd finished pattern 3, I had decided that actually I quite like it, and what I would like to do in some of the future pages in this sketchbook is to incorporate more of this into the neurographic art. So watch this space. I will be posting up the progress in this sketchbook in my next crafty update, which will be in a couple of weeks' time, and in future crafty updates if I haven't finished by then. So do hit subscribe if you don't want to miss out when that comes out. And I will post this one up as a full process video alongside this talk along video. If you've had a go at doing some of this Zentangle, do let me know. I would like to hear your thoughts on the process and whether you find it relaxing, because it might not be for everybody. Some people might find it more relaxing than others. And do give me a thumbs up if you've made it this far. Thanks for joining me again, and if you've got any comments, questions or advice on Zentangle to share with me or anyone else, then do leave them in the comments below. and I hope to catch up with you all again soon.